E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial is a classic film from 1982 directed by Steven Spielberg. It tells the heartwarming story of a young boy named Elliot who befriends an alien stranded on Earth. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into this iconic movie, discussing all of its themes, characters, and overall impact on cinema. So,
let's get into it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Calvin Cam Podcast, the podcast where we talk about all things movies, television, and video games. I'm Calvin.
And I'm Anthony. And today we have E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial.
Yeah, so E.T. is just such an impactful film among all of cinema. Like, it's so, such a great movie, and it is an all-time classic. It's from one of the greatest directors ever, my personal favorite director, Steven Spielberg, and I think this is just like an absolute masterpiece of a movie.
Yeah, the movie itself is just, it's so good. Upon rewatching this movie, I remember watching this when I was a little kid, obviously, because I was a little kid when it came out, and it was about, I'd probably say it was like Harry Thomas's age, but it's just such a good movie. Like, I missed a whole bunch of elements of this movie, and just rewatching it it brought back, me to my childhood of watching this movie.
Yeah, like this movie was a movie that I put on repeat a lot as a child, and I was the funny thing is I was terrified of E.T. I thought E.T. was like the scariest thing in the world, but like also I watched this movie over and over again. So on top of being scared, I was just like play the movie.
I was like, it kind of broke your fear of E.T. as a character.
No, like it's funny. I just like I wore this film into the ground. like I watched it a lot, but it scared me every single time. And I don't know what it was about E.T. Like, he just kind of like freaked me out.
Well, it was funny because what probably kind of freaked you out is the basically the pacing for E.T.'s reveal, like all the time. Like,
it's very suspenseful in a very like thrilling kind of way. Just the first bit, like especially as a young child, like I feel the whole build-up scene, like we start in the beginning of the movie where they're in the house and they're the beginning of the movie is out in the woods, actually.
Yeah, it's the woods with the scientists.
Yeah, so the spaceship comes down and you see like all of these hands and stuff like on the limbs of trees and like brushing through like the ferns and stuff. And so you're getting a glimpse at like, this is definitely, obviously in the title, it's about aliens. But you're not getting a full picture of what E.T. actually looks like and what his race looks like, I should say, too. All you're getting is just them like scavenging.
Yeah, you don't really get to see his face. I think the first time you see his face was when he's in the corn crop.
Yeah, it's when Elliot
he reveals himself to Elliot like that night.
Yeah,
and he drops the flashlight because he sees footprints and stuff.
It's such a good part. And then obviously you get the group of scientists who they pull up, and for whatever reason ETs are really good at hiding. So
yeah, you see like glimpses of him with his finger. He pushes it out at certain points in the movie. Before it kind of like gives a good build up. And I love how the score was done in this movie as well. Like, when the scientists are running and chasing E.T. in the beginning of the movie, you hear that suspenseful music as he's running.
Yes, the music for this film, now that you mention it, it's done by John Williams, who is just one of the best like orchestrators of all time.
He's done all of the Star Wars, composed all of the music.
Star Wars, Indiana Jones, everything.
Yep.
Everything that's like major, John Williams is attached to, and I love it because he is just one of the greatest of all time. Both him and Spielberg together is just like, you cannot stop that dynamic duo.
No.
So you get that really interesting score in the beginning, and then the scientists chase them away, and they see the spaceship fly off, but then they hear something, and it's E.T. who was left behind.
Yeah, because he was... I think that they were just looking at resources and plants. You see, there's a scene, I don't know if it's actually E.T. or one of his companions, like pull the tree out of the ground. I think it was E.T.
Yeah. I think it's ET.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he digs it up.
Yeah, he digs it up and pulls it because he's going to probably take it back to the ship.
Yeah, because they're harvesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so then our first introduction of our main characters, who are Elliot and his brother Michael, and their group of friends, and Elliot's mom. They're all playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. I did not catch that when I was a little kid. I just didn't really pay attention to it, but I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, they're all like, doing the D&D thing, and then like they're talking about ordering pizza, and like Elliot's, the younger brother who's just like wants to be a part of things, so he's just like constantly talking, and they're like, okay, well, you get the pizzas, and we'll let you fucking play.
Yeah.
And so he then goes to get the pizzas, and then goes around back to go in the house, right? Like,
no, he goes and gets the pizzas, and he goes around back, and the shed is just illuminating, and that is another thing. The cinematography in this movie, like the way you see the moon up there, and the shot of the lighting coming from the shed, because that's where E.T. went, and he walked up to the shed because I don't know why he just walked up to it. He threw the ball in there, and then E.T. threw the ball back at him, and he's like, "Oh my God, something in the shed."
Yeah, which freaks him out. So he goes in the house, and obviously is like, "Mom, like there's something out there." And then they all like go up and go out and investigate, but find nothing. So the suspense is done really well into like building up this fear of like what's the unknown, because the unknown's scary. And that's kind of just like what got me as a child. So
yeah, and it gets you right away until you finally get that reveal of ET when he finds him. But yeah.
So let's see. Let's dive further into today's episode. But before we get into it further, I would just like to remind everybody that we have a Patreon. It's the best way to support the Calvin Cam podcast. You can go to Patreon and go select one of our 3 tiers where we offer so many different benefits for being a patron. We really appreciate it. And also follow us on all our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter. We love engaging with our community, and we would appreciate having you. So
yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. We have a lot of content there, even older content, which are audio episodes that you can go check out. So, be sure to do, like and subscribe, because we really would appreciate that.
Okay, so let's see. Getting into the episode a little bit more, we have first let's talk about the film's theme of friendship. Throughout the story, we witness the bond that forms between Elliot and E.T. They just have such an incredible relationship that builds throughout this whole film.
Yeah, it's from the beginning to the end.
And that's what's really, really special about this movie, is like the connection between these two characters is so intertwined, and they both are experiencing such an interesting like family dynamic.
Yeah. You have that family dynamic. I think they're in crisis because I think D. Williams is the one that plays the mom.
Yes, D. Wallace.
D. Wallace, yeah, not D. Williams. Sorry, D. Wallace. She had just gone through a divorce, and you can see that their family dynamic is there, but it's kind of like it's kind of ruptured because the father isn't involved in the family dynamic anymore.
Yeah. So clearly, her children, Elliot, who's played by Henry Thomas, and Gertie, who's played by Drew Barrymore, and Michael, who's played by Robert McNaughton, they're all experiencing like the absence of their father. And I think that E.T. being stranded, he's experiencing the absence of his entire family.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see just how the characters' relationship, like forms throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, and the bond and trust, like Elliot goes into the woods and feeds E.T. Reese's Pieces. I mean, he grabs them and makes a trail, and he realizes, I think E.T. realizes that this boy is friendly, and maybe I can kind of trust him.
Yeah, exactly. Because who knows? E.T. could be a kid. Like we don't know. We don't know E.T.'s age.
Exactly.
So it's probably, extremely scary. I can imagine being forgotten in like the store or Disneyland or whatever. I've been forgotten at places before, can't you tell? But
I think we all have at some point.
But um, ET's completely stranded on an entire planet. Like there's he's scared for his life. Elliot's the first warm hand that like offers him like some sort of comfort in this strange land. Their connection like transcends language barriers and cultural differences, emphasizing that the universe and nature of the friendship.
Yeah.
So, it's really good. Let's see. Another prominent theme is the exploration of childhood innocence. Spielberg masterfully captures the pure wonder and imagination of being a kid and being a child, from flying on bicycles to discovering new worlds. E.T. reminds us of the magic that we can find every day, like in our lives. So because it really emphasizes on just like pure innocence.
Yeah. And then the bond between him and E.T., like you see that in so many different scenes, especially in the scene where he's dying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think there was a bond that they shared, they connected each other, they were connected in a way.
Yeah, and something to do with whatever ET actually is has everything to do with that like connection where because ET's dying, Elliot's getting sick.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. And also you see the effect on everything around ET as he's experiences is like the flowers dying and like he just seems sweaty and he seems desperate, and it's really sad because he's homesick, ET phone home.
Yep. And it's just so emotional the whole time, even when he the scientist says he was at, which I thought was really cool, that he gave him a moment to say goodbye to ET, even though ET came back to life. But that was just a cool moment between Henry Thomas and ET.
Legitimately, like very, very sad moment.
Yeah.
Like very, very sad moment. And we get a little bit more, we don't get a whole lot of in-depth information on this character, but we get a lot of information. We get some information on Peter Coyote. I'm sorry. He's the lead scientist, and how he like tries to connect with Elliot and be like, I found him too, and I've been looking for him basically. And he just like tries to have this like little kind of relationship with Elliot and bond over the special connection that Elliot has found with E.T. It seems like Keys is his name, from what I've read, and he has also experienced some kind of like special connection with an E.T. I don't know.
It was cool how he was shot too. Like I got these kind of like nods at the way it was shot. Like when he would be revealed, they didn't reveal his face and reveal his character completely, but you could see like his mid torso. It kind of reminded me of like Indiana Jones, because the way it's shot, like he's revealed, but the way he walks into the scene, it's just like the same thing as Indiana Jones. When Indiana Jones would be walking, especially on that part with Raiders of the Lost Ark where he's walking, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Another thing that I want to talk about is Drew Barrymore. This is her like first huge film, and she just shines in this. And her character Gertie just really captures the innocence of and the curiosity of Elliot's younger sister. Like she's so cute in this movie, and like she makes some of the best lines come from Gertie. Like like, what's happening?
Yeah, and then she goes, "Do you want to call somebody?
Want to call somebody?"
Yeah, and talking about her dad, He's in Mexico.
He's in Mexico.
So yeah, you get those little iconic lines. She's just so cute on screen.
And it's funny once she like has been shown who E.T. is. I think the first reveal of E.T. to the siblings, Michael and Gertie, are just it's great. You know, Elliot's like, stand over here, like to Michael, and then he brings E.T. out, and then Michael's just like blown away.
Yeah,
and he's just like he's just flabbergasted. And then Gertie, you know, comes in and it's like, look what I got, and then sees it, and then E.T.'s neck. That's the first time you see E.T.'s neck extend.
Yeah. And they both scream at the same time,
and it's such a like memorable moment for me with this film because it's such a great moment. And then the mom comes in, they're immediately like, well, we have to like hide this, and like they. It's funny because they're like, quick, in the closet, and then Gertie's like turns around and just kind of like screams and is like, ah, and then E.T. like comes running like in the closet, just like,
yeah.
Also, a really great part was the use of the closet. That's kind of like E.T.'s new home throughout the film. That's where he's hidden for most of the things. And I love when when Elliot's mom goes to like, you know, look for.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He's like in the corner. He's like,
he's looking in. He's in the dolls. He's in the dolls. He's like a doll head. Like,
yeah, it's really cool.
So I love it. Yeah. There's so many great moments in this film, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, this film is truly a masterpiece that has captured like some of the most memorable moments in all of cinema, and I will infinitely love this movie forever. Another really great part is when Elliot's at school and he is experiencing all of the things that E.T. is experiencing at home. Also, one of the most hilarious parts of the entire movie, with E.T. getting drunk, is just hilarious. Like,
he's just having the same feelings, and I just love that they're just they're interconnected, like in some way. And he wants to save the frogs from the chlorophyll. Like he takes all the frogs out of every kid in the class's jar, and then you have this scene where all these frogs are on the ground.
We have to save them.
Yeah, yeah. So you have that scene, and then you have that good synchronicity with E.T.'s watching TV, and he's watching a man and a woman dance, and Elliot has the same interaction.
With
at the same time with the girl he likes at school, and he actually kisses her, and the synchronicity when it was shot is like really cool too. Just like it shows their interconnection. Like the way it's portrayed on screen is just like really good.
Yeah, and then all of these great things all lead up to a brilliant climax of the film, the bike chase all the way to the woods. And eventually, that leads into E.T. getting sick from being out all night. But and then finally at the very end, his family comes home.
Yeah, and gets him.
And gets him, and it's a beautiful connection. Everybody's there. All the major key characters that we've seen in the film.
Even the scientist is
there.
Even
the scientist, and everybody's just sharing this like spectacle happening before them.
And then it's also amazing because Gertie and Henry Thomas's characters, they say goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye. Oh, it's such a sweet goodbye too. So many great things about this film. Overall, I'm gonna rate this movie a 5 out of 5. The acting is phenomenal for all of these child actors. Like, I didn't think a single performance by any of them was even anywhere close to bad.
Yeah.
And I think that Dee Wallace, she was an incredible mom. Like, she just spews that mom energy. So, and just like the score elevates this movie through the roof. Like, one of the all-time best scores. And the cinematography, the magic that it captures. Like, Spielberg knows what he's doing. He is the GOAT. everything about this movie, the story, the script, everything. Easy 5 out of 5 for me. What would you rate this?
5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
It's so iconic in terms of me and my childhood. Like, for one, the score, I guess, John Williams just nailed it with the suspense building with E.T. Just most of the scenes, like in the movie, he hits home when he needs to hit home with it. The cinematography, the way it's shot, there's lots of good scenes. Like I said, like I mentioned earlier in the episode with the shed and the moon and the light. And even the forest shots in the beginning. There's even that awesome shot where it pans out when the scientist comes out and you see the whole ridge of the suburbia. Like, that's like one of the best shots in the movie, I think. Like, so you have that one, and then the acting, Henry Thomas, Drew Barrymore, like I said, Dee Wallace's acting, like, they were all like really good. So that right there is one of the main reasons, and just the story. The story told by Steven Spielberg is just amazing because he's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT.
That's why I say 5 out of 5 for this film.
Yeah. So hit us with some fun facts.
All right, I got some fun facts for this film. All right, we'll start you off with number 1. Most of the full body puppetry was performed by a 2 foot 10-inch tall stuntman. Behind the scenes in the kitchen were done with a 12-year-old boy that was born without legs, but he was an expert of walking on his hands. So I thought that was really, really cool. That's a really cool one. On June 27th, 1982, Steven Spielberg personally screened this film at the White House for President Ronald Reagan and First Lady Nancy Reagan. So that's a cool one. All right, moving on. We have Steven Spielberg shot most of this film from eye-to-eye level to further the connection between Elliot and E.T., which you can see in most of the shots. The scenes where Elliot kisses the pretty girl at school during the frog dissection scene took 3 or 4 takes to get it right because Henry Thomas was extremely nervous. We have the next fact. Movies with the longest ever theatrical run, over a year. That's a long time.
That is.
At the auditions, Henry Thomas thought about the day of his dog died, and to express his sadness, director Steven Spielberg cried and offered him the role as Elliot.
Aww.
Right on the spot.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Harrison Ford initially filmed the role of Elliot's head schoolmaster, but the scene is cut from the film.
That is just that fun fact is incredible. I really wish we would have got that.
Yeah, that one's cool. Steven Spielberg stated that in an interview that E.T. was a plant-like creature and he was neither male or female, which I just thought was interesting. Was the highest-grossing movie of all time worldwide until Spielberg's Jurassic Park in 1993 was released. Adjusted for inflation today, it is still the fourth highest-grossing movie of all time.
It's amazing. It's E.T.
Yeah, it's really good. Foley artist John Rosick said that he went to use a wet T-shirt and crammed it with Jell-O to stimulate the noise of E.T. while he was doing the wedding walk, which was really cool too.
Yeah, I like that.
Yep. So that's all the fun facts I have for E.T. Yeah.
Okay. Well, E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial has had a lasting impact on pop culture. It became one of the highest-grossing films of all time and won 4 Academy Awards. Its influence can still be felt in movies today, with many modern filmmaking crediting it as an inspiration. So, in conclusion, E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial is a timeless masterpiece that captures the essence of friendship and childhood wonder. Spielberg's direction, with the performances and themes explored, have cemented this film as a classic. Whether you've seen it before or new to the story of E.T., continues to warm the hearts of audiences everywhere. So I just think that E.T. is just one of the most special films ever made.
Yeah, it definitely is. It most definitely is. It's heart film. It's the connection with humanity, and it's awesome.
And I saw a really interesting interview with Stephen Colbert and Steven Spielberg, where Steven Spielberg claims that E.T. is one of his films that he doesn't mind watching over and over again. And normally he doesn't watch his films like more times than he has to. E.T. is one of those ones that he loves experiencing every time he watches it. Like, he wants to be there for when his kids watch it. He said he wants to see their reactions. Like, he loves E.T. so much. So it's special. If you have not seen this movie, what are you doing? Go watch it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you everybody for watching our review and analysis of E.T. And we hope that you really enjoyed it. Like we said before earlier in our video, please go follow us on our social media platforms and all of our other stuff. We really appreciate it. And if you like us, please, stick around for more content that we're pumping out, trying to get a good schedule going for you guys. And we want feedback. Give us all the feedback. We take constructive criticism really greatly, and we just want to make this one of the best channels that you'll enjoy so much. So.
Yeah, we want to make it entertaining for you, and we want to make sure the content is it's good, but we want to present it in different formats and just make it better if we need to.
Yeah. So thanks everybody, and have a good night.
Good night, and see you on the next one.
Thank you all so much for watching the Calvin Cam podcast. You can find us on any social media platforms like Instagram or Twitter. Go check our podcast out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music. We also have YouTube channel, the Calvin Cam. Go over there, hit that like and subscribe button, and follow us there. As well as you can now really support us on Patreon.com. It's probably the best place to support us. So you could go there, join one of our 3 tiers, and help us get bigger and better, and we will appreciate you every step of the way. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good night.